This is Make It Plain, MIP, with Matimelo Mapumo, Mark Thompson. Get woke.
Well, he's up tweeting this morning for the first time on Stormy Daniels, believe it or not. Oh my God. A sketch years later about a non-existent man, a total con job, playing the fake news media for fools, but they know it. He's never tweeted about her or about this whole Stormy Daniels thing. What? I don't get it. I mean, and then to tweet about this of all things, I think that's a little bit conspicuous to me. I mean, why are you defensive about this dude? Of course, it's been hilarious on Twitter the past 24 hours because everybody says he looks like Tom Brady. And Avenatti is hilarious. He's a good PR guy. His hashtag is ID the Thug. Folks, we're streaming on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make it plain. Join us. But the White House got the date wrong. They sent out the statement on Barbara Bush, and it was dated 2017, April 17, 2017 instead of 2018. They just can't get it right. Condolences to the Bush family. And folks, we are glad now to be joined in studio by a brother who's running for Congress. I actually met him. We just had Jackie Robinson weekend. He's got his Mets cap.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to be offended by that because I did go to I made a rare visit to Citi Field on
I was born I'm from the outer boroughs.
So you can't help it. I made a rare trip to Citi Field because the Yankees were out of town, so I spent Jackie Robinson Day in Citi Field on Sunday. I couldn't stay there, man. It was so cold.
Oh, yeah. It
was freezing.
The weather.
This brother is running for the 9th District Congressional seat in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Taking on the incumbent there, Yvette Clarke. His name is Adem Bunkeddeko. Did I get it right?
Oh, yeah, you did.
Nailed it. Boom.
That's the first time.
Bunkeddeko.
That's the first time.
And he was saying to me how people think he's Russian.
Yeah, people be thinking I'm Ukrainian, man. Where's Bunkeddeko? You know, are you from Kiev? Yet. I'm like, nah.
But where are you? Where's that name?
Yeah, parents are from Uganda, so war refugees. So it's actually the ethnic group is the Baganda. So it's a Buganda name.
Were you born here?
Yeah, born and raised here.
No reason I was asking. I've been dealing with dreamers.
Yeah,
and I
thought you was about to say I was dealing with birthers.
No. I wasn't gonna do that to you. But because I even had a dreamer on yesterday whose parents were from the continent.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I was wondering if you came with your parents as a kid. But no, that's so you born here in the United States.
Yeah.
From Uganda. What made you decide to run for Congress?
We got big challenges in our community, whether it be affordable housing, education, criminal justice. And, you know, I salute anyone who goes into public service, but Ms. Clarke hasn't done the job over the last 12 years. So it's time for change.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about you. Where'd you go to school?
So a little bit about parents came here during the 80s when the Ugandan Civil War was taking place. Dad came here, $50, worked at McDonald's, spent some time in a detention center, got asylum, managed to save up enough money to bring my mom. Grew up in a little tiny one-bedroom apartment, 1 of 6. Parents got GEDs. Dad took him 20 years to finish college. Mom went to community college, had to drop out to raise us. Went to public school, got a scholarship, went to private school. From there, went to Haverford, eventually Harvard Business School, but been in the community. Started off organizing, knocking on doors, collecting petitions and signatures.
Community organizer.
Yeah.
With indigenous African name. Where have we seen this before?
I'm curious, where have we seen it before? But yeah, started working at nonprofits in Brooklyn, so worked at Bed-Stuy Restoration Corporation, helping them create a support network for single moms to allow them to help their children to be able to live out their version of the American dream. From there, spent 3 years working in state government, helping to revitalize some of the most distressed parts of Brooklyn. So Brooklyn Navy Yards project, very familiar with. And lastly, before jumping into this race, I was at Brooklyn Community Services. I was Associate Director for Business Initiatives, helping folks who have special needs find meaningful employment. So been in the community for a minute, been doing kind of the real heavy lifting. And, if you live in Brooklyn, if you live basically in any working class community in any major city in this country, housing is a key issue for a lot of folks. In Brooklyn, rent is up 20% or more in some parts of central Brooklyn over the last decade. And we're not even talking about public housing issues. So we've got some really, really serious challenges ahead of us. And that, moving on to criminal justice, you think about the young brother Saeed Vassell, who just got shot by the police. Not all the details are there, but we do know he was unarmed. He had a history of mental illness. And
was that in Brooklyn or Queens?
That was in Brooklyn.
That was right.
I was like a couple of blocks away from my campaign office.
Right.
So, we've got some really, really tough challenges, and that's on top of fighting back against this administration who's trying to make America great or trying to create some other version of America that never really existed or should never exist. Mm-hmm. And, we're not speaking up. We're not doing the right thing. So that's why I kind of got into this.
On the Saeed Vassell piece, where are we on that? Is there an investigation?
Yeah, there's an investigation still going on around it. But, there's some big questions, glaring questions, I think, for a lot of folks in the community is, the police picked him up a couple of times. So they knew about him in that precinct, the 71st. And, to shoot someone, and again, not all the details are clear. I mean, he was walking around with a pipe, and a lot of folks might have felt threatened, but to shoot a dude that they knew for a while just doesn't make any sense. And it's a troubling trend in this country, is that, and especially for me, having grown up in this city as a person of color, as a black male, my father, the first thing he used to tell me is, quote unquote, how you should behave when you encounter the police. And I'm sure he had those conversations with his father too. Yet here we are again, time and time again, even the young brother out in Sacramento. I mean, we've really got to change the way police engage with communities of color, because this can't go on any longer. I mean, we got basically two classes of citizens: those who enjoy the full rights and benefits of citizenship and the dignity afforded to that, and those who have to live under the worry or the concern of whether or not they're going to be shot unarmed. So.
Yeah. Speaking of Stephen Clark, just program note, his uncle will be in studio with us on Friday morning. I think it's 6 a.m., early in the morning. So he'll be coming with Brother Shane Harris from National Action Network out there on the West Coast. Housing, you mentioned. And let me just do this, folks, because I want you all to go to the brother's website. Really cool hashtag, Adem for Congress. But when you read it, it actually looks like, because he spells Adem with an E. Yeah. So it looks like Adem for Congress. And so the website is www.adem with an E for Congress, or Adem for Congress. It's kind of slick, man. You that? I see you, brother.
Yeah.
It's kind of slick, bro. That's smooth.
Funny story to that name, too.
Really?
Yeah. You think the last name is wacky. So real quick, so my parents come from different backgrounds. So my mom comes from like an Anglican family. Had an uncle who was a bishop in the church, everything.
Wow.
My dad, his family historically was Muslim. So both my parents, as a bridge, named me Adem, because that was the thing that calmed both sides. It's a biblical name, and it's a name in the both traditions. And my dad was just like, so they had agreed to that, and my mom was just like, okay, fine. My dad, I don't know, he had like a colleague, and he was just like, oh, they spell Adem somewhere different. from like in Turkey or something like that. And then my dad came back to my mom's and was like, oh yeah, yeah, we should spell it ADEM. My mom was like, no. So then, November 6th rolls around, 10 a.m. Mom gives birth. Somebody's got to sign the birth certificate. My dad just went ahead and put an E in there.
No, that's right.
Yeah. So they mailed it, and my mom was like, what the heck? And to this day, my mom does not spell my name ADEM. She spells it ADAM.
Really?
Yeah, real talk. So people think it's like Adem, and I'm cool. Yeah, like some of my closest friends.
Your dad knew you were going to run for Congress.
Yeah, he was just like, yeah. But like my mom to this day, is like,
I'd work that.
Adem.
you got to work. Work with what you got.
Yeah, you got to work with what you got. Yeah.
That's right. Housing though. Now.
Yeah.
And folks, Adem with an E. Let me just spell the last name for you because I want you to. We'll go to the website Adem for Congress, ADEM for Congress.com. Last name Bunkeddeko.
Yeah.
If you have a problem there, just go. You can go to our social media now: Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Make it plain, and you can see him there and see the spelling.
Yeah.
Tell me why housing is not the biggest and most overshadowing issue, because gentrification is a trip. And it's having an effect across the country.
Yeah.
Now, I grew up in Nashville.
Yeah.
I went home February.
Nashville's a different place now.
They're telling me, my partners, drive me around telling me costs as much for an apartment in Nashville as it does here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
So, and that's happening in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah. Atlanta
and Brooklyn is, it's
ground zero.
Is ground zero. Yeah. So you saw that. You can run for president. Forget Congress.
Yeah, no. I think my mom would be like, he first needs to know how to sort the whites from the colors, but when he does laundry. But no, I think housing, to me in particular, when you think about really the issue around economic fairness, is extremely important. So I take, for instance, my own background. My parents came to this country. My dad started out a very minimum wage jobs in the city. But we grew up in a tiny little 1-bedroom apartment. But, that apartment was their version of the American dream, having fled a nightmare in Uganda. There are now places, now it's almost impossible to find a place for an immigrant that's starting out or new person who's moving into the city to kind of have a starter place. And we're not even talking about existing residents. And to me, if we're talking about economic mobility and folks being able to move up in the economic ladder, you have to have suitable housing. Otherwise, where does it all start? So for me, it's an important issue, but it ties into all the other issues around economic fairness, whether it's having access to education, having access to healthcare, having access to a job. That's the base root of it. And to me, my plan is it's 5 points. So it's about creating not a pathway to ownership. So here in New York State, we had a great program called Mitchell-Lama. It wasn't perfect by no stretch of the imagination, but it allowed for low and middle income folks to not only have access to affordable rentals, but to have a pathway to own a cooperative that they could hold on to even through market swings. So if a neighborhood was becoming more investment was moving in and market rate apartments were moving, they had that stable anchor. And for me in particular, especially working class communities of color, because a lot of these communities were redlined back in the day in the late 30s into the late 60s. And folks of color like in Crown Heights, in Bed-Stuy, in Flatbush, East Flatbush, a lot of these folks did not have access to mortgage finances. So they couldn't own the homes that they now live in. They had to rent. And now rents are climbing up through the roof and they're getting kicked out. And they help build these communities, help hold them down when there wasn't Starbucks on every corner or there wasn't some shishi restaurant. So to me, that really gets to issue. That's why I think housing, particularly in this city and particularly in Brooklyn, gets to like the root cause of inequality in this city is because folks of color don't own. and they don't have the access to the sort of wealth that whites necessarily had, because a lot of those families own the property that they have. So you're right. Solving this housing equation would unlock a lot of the social and economic mobility issues that we've been struggling with, not only in this city and state, but in this country as a whole.
You mentioned also the issue of immigration. As I said, I spoke to a dreamer just yesterday. What's your position on that? And is can you also, because again, the face of dreamers is not always brothers like you who come from the continent, but that touches us as well. So.
Absolutely, especially in my district, we got a lot of folks from the West Indies, a lot of folks from Sub-Saharan Africa, a lot of folks from Latin America, folks from like Panama, Belize, and a lot of them don't have status. Like a lot of folks from Haiti don't have status here, and to me, dreamers, I know we often think about it coming from Central America, but there are folks from all over the world who don't have documented, and they were brought here as children, right? And a lot of them were displaced because of war. A lot of them were displaced because of some disaster that struck their country. To me, we need to create a pathway to citizenship for these folks. I mean, how are we going to have 10 or 11 million people? Are you going to send them all back?
Right.
Like, I mean, just think about it from a more practical standpoint. Not take away even the sort of social and moral concern about it. From an economic and political concern, that is an enormous undertaking. Even if you thought that was a great idea, which I think is just a disastrous idea. So for me, especially as my parents who came here, again, having sought out their version of the American dream, coming from a place that had been just sunk in turmoil, we've got to, and I mean, have to fight for them.
Yeah.
And to me, that's really the political courage, is like, are we going to stand up for folks, again, who don't necessarily have voting power because they don't have citizenship. They don't have a lot of the amenities that come with being citizens, but what is the point of being in politics? What's the point of public service if you aren't here to do the difficult things? And right now, it's distressing to see that there isn't much political courage out there in regards to that. So my hope is that, come this election, that we can start to turn that around.
Adem Bunkeddeko, I'm sorry. I missed
Damn, man. I was about to say Reese's Buttercup, man.
I'm sorry. Adem Bunkeddeko, folks, your calls, 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. He's running for Congress in the 9th District in Brooklyn. In fairness, we did reach out to Yvette Clark. She may join us at a later date. I'm also considering coming into Brooklyn myself, because we had this idea the other day.
Yeah.
After what happened at Starbucks.
Yeah.
To highlight Black and people of color owned coffee shops.
Oh yeah, that's all up and down Franklin.
Because it's not just about folks boycotting Starbucks, but why aren't we supporting others just off the break?
Yeah.
So there are a couple of ones in Brooklyn.
Oh,
I want to get your advice on that. Maybe
Absolutely.
We'll come over there and do. I want to do a show early in the morning.
Brooklyn Coffee Shop on Franklin Avenue, right by me, Black-owned business.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to put that in the mix and try to work that out and maybe come on over there and do a show over there. What do you think about what happened at Starbucks?
Man, again, as a person of color who grew up in this city, I mean, I've had those instances. It's funny. I think I am hopeful about the fact that, something like that raises so much social and moral awareness in our country. But at the same time, like, again, having grown up with it, I'm not actually that surprised.
Right.
Like, I haven't been in this city all my life. Like, this is commonplace.
Yeah.
And to me, again, I think where the change happens is the fact that we're shining light on issues like that. But it is the city that I mean that's something. Having grown up here, it. Like, I'm sure you know it
Yeah,
too. Like
yeah.
you get it.
Yeah,
Like,
I get it. It's
yeah, you get it.
And it's common. And I remember, growing up, I don't know if your parents did this, but when we would go into establishments
Yeah,
as kids, we were always taught,
yeah.
look but don't touch. And we talk about the talk we used to get. Part of the talk
Oh yeah.
was, they would say, my mother and grandmother would say, Mark, when we go in the store,
Yeah,
there's an assumption that we are there to steal.
yeah,
So you have to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah.
So I kind of grew up. So even now today,
yeah.
at 51 years old, I assume I'm being profiled when I walk in the store. I was telling Brittany the other day, years ago, my daughter was a teenager. She'd never been in Tiffany's on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah,
So I wanted to go in Tiffany's, Abba.
Yeah.
So we go in Tiffany's.
yeah,
And I'm standing there waiting
yeah.
to get profiled, right? Because I ain't got no bit. I don't even look like I belong in Tiffany's.
Yeah.
There was a brother security guard. I went over to him. He said, "Can I help you?" I said, "Yeah, man. Everything good?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You're not gonna say nothing to me?" And he said, "No, what's wrong?" He didn't even say nothing. I said, "Don't I look like I don't belong in here?" We just had a big laugh about it. but no, I'm just programmed for that. And so you can't even go in Starbucks.
Yeah, I mean,
And the people meet in Starbucks all the time.
Yeah.
Just sit there and talk. Some people go in there and take their laptop.
Yeah.
And do a whole 8-hour work.
I
in
know
Starbucks.
that's the crazy. And to me, you hit the nail on it. It's like for me, like my mom and my dad. I remember because I think my dad had worked at a department store at some point, and so he knew like what the whole shtick was. And I remember he would be telling me like, yeah, he was like, no sudden movements when you're walking in like the store, like yeah, like. And I remember thinking like, as a kid, like what, why? And he was just like, don't worry, you'll understand when you get older.
Speaking of Jackie Robinson,
Yeah.
the Arnold Rappersad biography recounts a story he told. Jackie was in Harlem attending an event at the Apollo Theater.
Yeah.
And a cop stopped him, manhandled him, pulled a gun on Jackie Robinson after baseball.
Yeah.
And somebody else said, you know what it is, man? That's Jackie Robinson. And that's the only reason he let him go.
Yeah.
And Jackie even said, if I had been anybody else, but it just goes to show you,
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
It happens all the
Yeah,
time.
it doesn't
Starbucks is appointed a group of people, including the NAACP Legal Defense Fund and others, and the Equal Justice Initiative with Brian Stevenson. They're opening a big lynching memorial next week. We're going to talk to Brian next week, as a matter of fact, down in Montgomery. But we're happy to have Adem Bunkeddeko here with us as he's running in the New York 9th. A couple of calls for you, Adem, too. You might put those headphones on so you can hear.
Let me.
And I think we've got Lee in Virginia to go first. Lee, God bless you. Good morning. Get ready for impeachment. Go right ahead.
Hey, good morning, Mark. Good morning, Adem. I enjoyed your backstory and the story of your name. I think that's really kind of cute how your dad pulled that off.
It's adorable.
So I wanted to kind of take one step back in the causal chain from housing.
Yeah.
So wages.
Yeah.
So I think wages derive from how we're organized, basically from power. It's a balance of power, and the American worker of all races has seen his and her power devolved and eroded over the past 40 years. I think there is actually a little something of valid in the whole Make America Great Again concept. It would kind of be nice to have the economic conditions of the 50s back again if we could just jettison, the racism and the sexism of that time. And I think that's the future that, I'd like to head towards. To do that, we have to kind of focus on the balance of power in the workplace and the wages that derive from that. So if and that would benefit the communities on the lower end of the economic ladder the most, which, I don't know the demographics of your district, but it sounds like your district might benefit, the most from an increase in wages across the board. So I just asked you to kind of look at that issue and maybe target it. I think, Bernie Sanders was on to that. And certainly there was some kind of passion behind his supporters, et cetera. So I'll leave that there. Thank you.
Wages.
Yeah, I think so. Just I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say that I understand that he wants to see a more fair and more egalitarian country in terms of employment and wages.
Right.
I wouldn't necessarily say going back to the 50s is the place I want to go to, but I mean, I think he touches on something that we are going to have to, we're debating right now, but I think will be one of the primary questions in politics in the years ahead, which is how much income should capital get versus labor? And right now, if we look at sort of the historical trend line, capital, folks who are the shareholders or owners of companies, have an enormous amount of power relative to workers and labor. And I think it's bred the inequality that we see, but it also has spillover into the social and moral fabric of the country. So for me, he definitely touches on the chord in terms of we need to be able to figure out a way in which folks have more earning power in terms of higher wages, but also trying to figure out a way in which we as a people, because right now our society economically, how it's structured is totally out of whack.
Yeah.
I mean, we got 1% of the country controlling 2/3 of the wealth.
Mm-hmm.
That is an enormous imbalance. And the tax package that the Republicans just passed added gasoline to that fire, more than anything I could have ever imagined. So I think he's absolutely on the ball, and issues around housing definitely are derived from the fact that wages have been stagnant and declining for many Americans. But we do need to think about just the total sort of structure itself, and because this isn't working.
No, it definitely is. Lee, thank you for your call. I appreciate you. Let me get one other quick one in. Albert's in Tampa. Albert, God bless you. Good morning. Get woke, ready for impeachment. You're on there with Adem Bunkeddeko, who's running in the New York 9th. Go right ahead for Congress.
Good morning. He hit on some points on that housing and something I haven't heard. 2 points. My daughter's in New York. They asked for first month, last month, and another month rent.
Yes, Lord. They sure do.
It wasn't but it's like a 10 by 8. So
and it's 10 by 8, and depending on what your credit is, it looks like some in Guantanamo when it just decides. Depending on what your credit is, they might ask for first month, last month, and 2 or 3 other extra months up front.
Oh yeah.
Now here's the other part. They are turning down people who have arrest records, felons, in certain apartments, which I think is discriminatory. Why should they have to know that about somebody once they're out and they need a place to live?
Right.
Yeah, I think to me, this gets to sort of my views on criminal justice reform, which is, so I'm in favor of the legalization of marijuana, which I think for some, since I don't use, my dad would have slapped me upside the head as a kid if I did that. But, part of it is about what is the point of criminal justice? I think redemption, mercy, allowing folks to actually reform and reintegrate back into society.
Right.
So there are a bunch of folks that I grew up as kids, 18, 19, caught with possession, and that's a felony rap. That felony rap sticks with you the rest of your life.
Right.
And you are effectively barred from, as the gentleman was mentioning, being able to rent, being able to take part in finding a job, providing for your family.
Right.
So I would prefer, I'm in strong favor of the expungement of those sorts of arrests because they are highly, highly punitive to black and brown folks and disproportionately highly punitive to black and brown folks on the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum. And for me, again, back to issues of fairness and social justice, what's the point of criminal justice if it's not about mercy at the end of it, right?
Right. It must be. Albert, thank you. Good question. Appreciate your call.
Sure.
So you say your daughter did she get the apartment?
Yeah, well, now you can call it that if you want to. It looked like a prison cell to me. But I'm just saying.
Lord,
I live in a few closets in the city.
Yeah. Everything is a closet here.
And by the way, for the record, Starbucks, that's just a part of Jim Crow 2.0, man. So y'all just go ahead and enjoy
Indeed.
that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your call. Your parents still with you?
Yeah, parents still alive. Mom,
They live here?
Yeah, they
Okay.
live here. My mom goes to work home health aide every day. Works that 12, 13-hour shift.
She sounds like a Barbara Bush too.
Yeah,
she's accountable.
Tough cookie, man. Tough cookie. My dad, same deal. Like, and they're a funny bunch. Like, my mom is funny. She's like, man, you got all this education. I was hoping you'd buy me a house.
Was that what you said?
Oh yeah, absolutely. She was like, man, go make some money. So
I'm looking at the video at Adem for Congress, folks. Adem with an E, and I see this picture in the beginning of the video with all these, all these people. This your whole family? These?
That's not even the whole clan, man. That's the folks who could show up to take that video.
Wow.
Yeah, so got the little sis, little brother, the two younger sisters, my older sister.
That's great.
My older brother's not there. His family's not there. Yeah, we got a big clan because my parents, they were the first two to show up on the scene here.
Right.
So they basically were the anchors, man. Our apartment was like Ellis Island, man.
Folks, go to the website. Adem for Congress. I want to say Adem for Congress.
Yeah, say Adem. Yeah, say Adem for Congress.
Adem with an E, Adem for Congress.
Yeah.
That's also the
all the
hashtag.
homies from back in the day call me Adem.
Watch and share this stream on your social media, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make it plain if you don't mind. Spread the word. You need some money?
Need some money?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, every day.
I always ask people.
Oh,
you don't. You good? You don't need no money. You need to raise
no,
money.
yeah, we need to. I'm always raising.
That's the most important question you can ask candidate. You need some money.
Oh yeah.
So just go to the website.
Yeah, go to the website. Donate. Got Act Blue up. Yeah, you could just throw us some bones.
Okay.
Right
Any progressive organizations endorsed you yet, or?
Yeah, Jim Owl's club here in the city. They're one of the leading progressive clubs. For a lot of other clubs, I get it. Like institutionally, they probably don't want to go against an incumbent, but we've found a lot of support from folks who will say, "Hey, look, man, I would totally agree with you. I just don't want to, walk out and get stepped on." But Jim Owls, I got to give credit to Alan Roscoff and his club for really having the courage to say, yeah, it's time. Like, it's time to go in a different direction. We need someone who's going to go out there and fight every day like folks in this community fight for their families. Like, I'm sure your mom and your grandma fought for you. We need that in Washington right now. I mean, Trump didn't come out of nowhere. Like, he basically came out of the fact that Democrats, for some reason, stopped talking about issues around economic fairness, about social justice, standing up about the values that truly make this country great. And for me, now more than ever, given the climate, Stormy Daniels can't be the only one calling out Trump, man.
Right, true that.
Like, it's gotta be us as a party. Like,
speaking of Stormy, a bit of breaking news. She has decided to donate $130,000, Brittany, to Planned Parenthood in Trump and Michael Cohen's names. So she is trolling these.
Oh
guys,
yeah,
man. I love it. I love it. Outstanding. Well, listen, man. Good luck to you.
Yeah.
This probably won't be the last time we talk. I'm gonna let you know if I can get over to Brooklyn because I'm gonna come in and
Yeah,
support one of those,
come through.
one of those
Come
local
through.
coffee shops.
Yeah.
And what have you. And folks, go to Adem for Congress. Adem with an E. Adem for Congress. Adem for Congress. And express your support if you like, please, ma'am, and please. So, and as we said, we reached out to Yvette Clarke. We'll probably have her in here at some point. Primary is June 26th?
June 26th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough. And
you should have us up both on, man. We're happy.
You know what we may try to do.
Yeah, come out to Brooklyn.
Come to Brooklyn. We'll do the coffee shop and maybe have you both come in if she's up for that. I mean, a lot of times
let's talk about vision. Let's talk about
incumbents
ideas.
don't want to do that. But we'll see if we can work that out. Good luck to you, bro.
Oh, appreciate it, Mark, man. Always.
To meet you, man.
Always.
All right, folks, we're going to take a break. We got to talk about North Korea and what have you. So stay tuned. Speaking of kids, my children are tripping. My son's calling me on my cell phone. He knows I'm on air. He's calling me right now.
It's probably for money.
No, he wants to. My mic is open. I'm on the air right now. But I got your text message. I'll bring it to you. Okay. All right. Okay. Have a good day. He ran out and forgot part of his baseball uniform and left it at home. So I need to take it to him when I get off the air.
Yeah.
Folks, join me on Stephanie Rule at 9 a.m. Eastern, too, though, on MSNBC. Check that out. All right, brother.
Hey,
Bless
Mark,
you,
man, always a pleasure.
We'll do it again, man.
Appreciate
And we'll
that.
do Brooklyn as well.
Yeah, come through.
Sirius XM Progress. Don't forget Adem for Congress with an E. AdamForCongress.com. Sirius XM Progress 127. Resistance Radio. Get woke, get ready for impeachment. This is MIP.
I'm woke. 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 I'm woke. 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 Woke.
Get woke.
We're woke. Woke.
Levi Wokes. Available exclusively at Ross.